Leslie, come on.
All right, let's go. We're on a mission.
There's the contrast between the families, the educated, comfortable family, the not so well educated, struggling family.
Well, these vegetables are part of our livelihood. We can't afford to share them with any animal we get in here.
Jess's family's going to worry about money all the time. A rural family who can no longer make a living off their farm.
You need some new Snickers, Mary.
Try to catch Billy Baker's eye in the
We don't have anything left in our
Excuse
right
me.
And then Leslie's family come from the city, but wants to try out a simpler life.
Hey, Leslie, we need your help.
Come on.
And they've got plenty of money to fix up the house, and they don't worry about money.
When you don't have money, it takes over your life, and that's how it is in this community. Nobody had any money, and it was very difficult for everybody to make a living.
I heard it was your birthday yesterday.
But Leslie had just the opposite. Money was no problem.
It must have cost a fortune.
What's it matter what it costs?
And yet, she was poor in other ways. She had never gone to church. She didn't have the spirituality that this little community may have had. So when she goes to church, she finds something there for her.
I'm really glad I came. That whole Jesus thing, it's really interesting, isn't it?
And she has to learn what it's like to be empathetic and sympathetic to these people with real problems. So we have these two children who are from completely different backgrounds, but they both have this common thread that they don't belong.
It came into his mind that someone had told him that Leslie was dead. But he knew now that that had been part of the dreadful dream. Leslie could not die any more than he himself could die. But the words turned over uneasily in his mind like leaves stirred up by a cold wind.
In the book, there's so many important themes about dealing with loss, dealing with grief.
The story was my attempt to make sense of something that made no sense.
Your friend Leslie is dead.
It was my son, David. His best friend was Lisa Hill. It was their friendship that was the source of the story.
I think she had her head.
The summer after they both turned 8 years old, she went on vacation with her family to the beach, and she was struck and killed by lightning. And then I had to make sense of that to my 8-year-old son. And I couldn't.
No, it's not that kind of book.
I couldn't bring Lisa back. I couldn't comfort him. And so I did the only thing I could do, and that was write a story.
He ran until he was stumbling, but he kept on, afraid to stop, knowing somehow that running was the only thing that could keep Leslie from being dead. It was up to him. He had to keep going.
A lot of stuff I don't remember about it. I blocked it out or such, but one thing I remembered from like every class following that for a couple years, when the teacher would make the first introduction, she'd go, "Oh, you're David." What that meant was your friend's dead. It meant she knew the story, and it wasn't the most comfortable feeling, to be perfectly honest. You don't want to be a celebrity because your best friend died.
The things that girl came up with. I don't get students like her too often. So I realize that if it's hard for me, how much harder it must be for you.
You know, if you start reading the book and it's getting rough for you, stop. You'll be there. That's the wonderful thing about books. They just wait for you.
She brought you something special when she came here, didn't she? That's what you hold on to. That's how you keep her alive.
Sad happens, and being afraid happens. This book is about transcendence. It's not just sad. If we don't have a sad story, if there's no sadness in a story, we can't have that moment of transcendence. We can't feel the uplift and the joy of getting to a place where we've risen above the sadness.
Now it was time for him to move out. She wasn't there, so he must go for both of them. It was up to him to pay back to the world in beauty and caring what Leslie had loaned him in vision and strength.
I think that the bridge represents the connection that we have with family, with friends, with a fantasy world and reality.
One of the whole themes of this whole book is the fact that you can find your place in the world. It doesn't have to be where you started. That's the whole bridge to Terabithia. It's from where you started and where you're going.
So what do you think?
There's bridges throughout our whole entire life, and the idea that maybe you discover a way to swing across and make that place your own is something that at any age is important.
It's an ancient forest, Mabel, full of magical creatures and friendly giants, anything you can imagine. But you gotta look really hard. But keep your mind wide open.
You got to keep your mind wide open. All the possibilities.
Terabithia represents freedom. The freedom to do whatever you want, to be whoever you are.
Terabithia and the imagination are synonymous. I think it is the imagination.
Terabithia. It's different for everyone. Everyone has their own image of it. Can there be purple flowers?
Anything you want.
It's friendship, it's love, it's hope. Everything that you want it to be, it is.
You got to keep your mind